And coming up on today's Counter Show with Keith and Jay, what are we talking about today, my friend?
All right, let me just for those of you with kids in the car, this one might get the explicit tag today. In fact, I don't know that there's going to be a way around that. So you have been warned. I will try to warn you again, parents, before the segments. But just know we're gonna have some fun.
Why do we build things in this mess? Yeah, why do we build things that look like that? Anyway,
So the Lug Nut Challenge. If you don't know about this, it could or could not be a real thing on TikTok. We're gonna tell you what we think and tell you what we think it is.
Exactly. So that's a good point that you brought that up. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Tesla Cybertruck, but more about what's in the back end of that Cybertruck that they kind of revealed to us at the Cybertruck reveal as an accessory to the Cybertruck. Elon seems to be pretty adamant about making this a package deal. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then we've got the world of...
Well, it wouldn't be a podcast without some Rivian news. This is the year of Rivian, I think, right? Like we did a year of Tesla.
Absolutely.
There was almost every podcast we had a Tesla segment. Rivian has kind of taken their spot. So we have Rivian. If you listen to our previous podcast, we told you that they were going public. They had an IPO that they had submitted for. We now have some information as part of that IPO filing that how they plan to monetize an additional $15,000 per vehicle, and we're going to tell you about that.
Right.
And last but
tell
not
a little bit about that.
Least.
No,
wait.
Gosh,
we got several more last but not least.
No, just one. Just one. Yeah. And because the last one you see is actually something that we just talked about.
Okay.
So
yeah.
If you notice that, it's a repeat.
I gotcha.
But unfortunately, we're headed down another road that's going to really, and again, mom and dad sensors. This is something that's probably going to piss off a few machinists out there, and it seems like there could be another cash for clunkers scheme circulating in the Bay Area in California, and we're going to get into that. All of those great things. And much, much more right after this. Hey, everybody, welcome into the podcast. Welcome back. Keith is fresh off of the sandy beaches. Got a little tan over there. Glad to see you back safely, my friend.
Couldn't wait to come back and talk about penis-shaped rockets, Jay.
Penis-shaped rockets. What are we doing now, man? Holy cow. What's up with that? We're going to get into a little bit of that.
That's what we call a teaser. This is getting weird.
That is a real teaser. Coming to you live from the studio, the phallic symbols. Anyway, we are excited about today's show. We've got some interesting topics to talk about, as we mentioned in the intro to our show this morning. But first and foremost, if you're listening to this show right now, that means that you are on one of our platforms like Spotify or iTunes, etc. Make sure that if you're not subscribed, that you get over to partscounterguru.com, and in the upper left corner you will see the podcast links up there, and make sure you just choose whatever platform suits you. That way you can stream away, and then you'll be ready. And why this is important, we'll tell you in just a second, but make sure not only you are subscribing to that, but you're also subscribing to our YouTube channel. So if you're watching these video segments, you're already subscribed, I hope. If not, turn that red to gray by hitting the subscribe button, and that way you'll be notified whenever we have some live streaming going on, as well as many videos that come out from this podcast. Why that's important and so important right now is because we are going to be at SEMA. SEMA 2021 coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed on all levels, audio and video platforms for us. Bottom line, you can get to everything by going to partscounterguru.com, where you'll see a YouTube icon link, and you'll also see the podcast links over to the left-hand side, upper left-hand side. Please, 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 we need your support, and it's going to be fun. Trust me, it'll be a great ride.
But wait, there's more. So no
Ginsu Nights today, though. We ran out. We're flat out.
Just the SEMA alone, if you're over there on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and you ring the bell, we are going to be going live quite a bit. That's the easiest way for you to get a heads up on that. And there's some pretty cool,
Right.
the stuff that we know about that's coming, it's going to be pretty cool. Look, wouldn't you rather be watching some cool automotive industry unveilings than doing actual work? I mean, come on, everybody.
Right. I mean, Keith and I we talked about this earlier. We may do a early morning, quick, live stream just to let you know what we're getting into that day. To be prepared for that. We'll just give you our agenda, maybe. But definitely at the end of the day, we might want to do a wrap-up or two of some things that we saw. But here's why it's so important.
We're going to call that,
specifically
Jay's Morning Poop Scoop or something?
Yeah, the pooper scooper. The poop scoop.
You see what I did there?
I did. I love that, man. Great. But why it's even more important this year to tune in is because obviously it's limited attendance this year. So it's going to be a scaled down attendance.
Why is that?
But because of COVID, obviously. International travel.
There we go. Right. So
and there's a couple of other things.
Famous show. There are exhibitors typically in years past from all over the world.
It is the largest show. It is the largest show of its kind in the world.
Yeah.
It is. It's unbelievable. And usually you will have a representation of just about every country on this planet, modernized, industrialized planet on this planet, a country on this planet, I should say. It was easy for me to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this is going to be a first for them, and it's going to be interesting in terms of how they kind of handle that, right? Like how the companies have a presence if they can't travel here.
Right. And I think that the exclusivity that we are going to have because of that is going to be rather nice for us, and I think we're going to have a little bit more one-on-one time with some of these manufacturers.
Sorry.
Booth-based. But we are hoping that we will gain some access to some really cool stuff that's coming out. We know that there's going to be a lot of accessory reveals for both Jeep and Ford accessories, specifically the Bronco and the Wranglers. We know that there is going to be a Mopar reveal of some new concept vehicles that are coming out from Jeep that we mentioned in a previous podcast.
I mean, there's enough stuff going on just outside the event with Ford out front and some of that we could
Ford out
just
front
spend
What Hummer's going to be there? They're going to have the Hummer on site. The all new, brand new, all electric GMC Hummer is going to be there. I am really excited because we know that Yakima's going to be there, Thule's going to be there, iCamper's going to be there. These are folks that we have talked to. We already have some stuff coming up. It's going to be with Yakima, I think. Keith, you made good contact with that. But what's significant about that is that we talked about this in a previous podcast. Screw Comcast. Anyway.
Oh man, it's good to be back, Jay.
It's good to be back. I love it. But we mentioned this on a previous podcast about Rivian and Yakima teaming up to offer a tent specific to the Rivian models. So that's exciting, and we hope we can get some of the juice out of that, and also talk to iCamper because we put an iCamper video out and I got some contact back from those guys. So we're pretty excited about it, but you got to stay tuned to get all this stuff on your plate so you can digest it daily and make sure, again, that you are subscribed. So there you have it. So let's talk rockets and stuff, man.
All right.
You got.
You want to go there? Let's go there.
You want to go there? Let's get into it. So here's my question. It's like missiles, bullets, rockets, drumsticks. I don't know. There's just a lot that kind of have that look about them that it's like, what were you thinking? There's got to be a purpose. There has to be a purpose.
Are we going to be able to make it through this segment without somebody uttering the word penis?
Probably not. Probably not. Well, Jon Stewart had a blast with this. Jon Stewart just recently, he's got a new series that just came out on Apple TV Plus. And for the launch of that, he decided to have a parody on, or not necessarily a parody, but a skit that has Jason Alexander in it. Specifically, Jason Alexander designing the rocket for Mr. Bezos over there at Amazon. The original dickhead. Can I say that?
You just did. This one will get the explicit tag, but that's okay. So, yeah. So, Slate did an interview with an actual rocket scientist.
Yes.
And basically, they're like, why dick-shaped rockets, right? And the guy was like, well, I mean,
why not? I mean,
he kind of was
because it works.
Because it works.
It's just because it works. That's what we've always been doing, and that's just the way it is. And the explanation for why Bezos' rocket looks so much like a penis. Can I get through this? Was interesting, but it was very logical, and I get it.
Some of it was it's just because it's the way we've always done it, and we just draw from the way we've done it in the past, and
right.
So there wasn't really the scientific explanation I was hoping for. He kind of took the road of all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days a week.
Yes, man. Yeah. Rocket Man. Rocket Man. Right. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cool things about this rocket ship. For sure, and we'll get into that a little bit. But at the end of the day, the aerodynamics are so extremely important, and all these things have been tested. And it just turns out that you can't fly a vagina. I'm just saying.
So do you want to get into a little bit of the celebrity stuff that's going on with this Bezos Blue Origin?
Yeah, but let's tell them why though. The why it looked like it did. So pronounced. Okay, so this is a suborbital vehicle, and so it doesn't require as much rocket, as much fuel. But the orbiter will also, it was used on this, which was called the New Shepard. That's what this was. But the New Glenn is their next launch vehicle, which is going to take them further. So they have to have much more rocket. So the girth of that rocket, the length of that rocket will be much bigger. So the apparent capsule will not look so much like a penis. It'll kind of blend in. It'll be about the same.
You're saying it's going to be a little bit different than this one.
Correct. This is smaller diameter and length because of the distance it had to go.
Well,
it doesn't make sense to overbuild.
And it separates, right? Like that is
correct. So they use the same capsule on the bigger one that they're going to be making. So it'll look different.
Are you saying that they just reused the tip?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, there's could just go like 7th grade all day. I mean, it's not.
Hey, nice rim shot, by the way. I like that. So that's why it looks the way it looks. It is a logical explanation. I know there was a lot of jokes floating around on Twitter and all over the World Wide Webinar.
Well, featuring
featuring Mr.
your boy
Bill Shatner,
Billy Shat, right?
Mr. Billy Shat.
So he's trending again at 90 years old, right? Not just for going into space, but for all the sort of memes that have been posted. And then there's this thing between him and George Takei. Now, have you read in on this? Have you been?
No, I haven't heard anything about the George Takei thing, so I'm going to learn something new here with this. Go ahead.
Apparently, for a while now, those two have been unfriendly, like a little bit taking jab. Any chance they get to take a jab at one another, they do.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And I tend to follow Sulu more on Twitter than Kirk. I'm talking,
Yeah.
to Kai. But because George is funnier on Twitter, honestly.
Right.
But there was a shot that happened in a Shatner interview a few years back where they said, do you wish it would have been George that died instead of Nimoy? Do you wish George would have gone first? And Shatner responded, well, that's a horrible thing to ask, but yes. Yeah, it's kind of a...
Did he go there?
Yeah, so I don't... They're not pals,
man.
It's... and I think it goes of course, all the way back to their time together on set.
Yeah, probably so. I do know that there was... It was not as we like to overuse the term, it was not always unicorns and rainbows on that set for those guys. But thank goodness they were able to pull it off as well as they did to keep the series going as long as they did, because it was one of my favorite all-time series ever. And to see Bill Shatner finally make it into space at the age of 90 is pretty amazing. And honestly, him getting back on Earth and just some of the comments that he made were pretty heartfelt. I thought he was definitely in awe with what happened. I loved his explanation of, up there is black as death. You look out, it's black, it's death, and then you look down at Earth and it's life, and it's like that's the difference. It's just that's death and that's life. So it is a pretty amazing planet that we live on, fragile planet that we live on, but it's pretty amazing how it has been able to sustain life as long as it has. So hopefully we can keep that going. But here's the thing. Shaddy B, being the man that he is, the entertainer that he is, who I love very much, by the way. I love Kirk. The one picture that was taken is him just basically looking back at the camera with his mouth hanging open in awe, like he's just shocked to death. And then you've got all these windows looking out over the Earth. You just knew that there was going to be a meme storm coming, and boy, there was. And you wonder if
he knew.
Bill didn't know.
He's
This is
no
an
dummy.
opportunity. I think I'm gonna. Yeah. He likes to be in the chatter. They don't. He's not an entertainer and hasn't been around as long as he has.
Not his first rocket rodeo, I guess.
It isn't his first rocket rodeo. So, how exciting for an old guy like that who portrayed the captain of a ship to go into space ends up actually not the captain, but a passenger on one of Jeff Bezos' penis-shaped rockets.
There you go.
Way to go, Shaddy B. Thank you, man. That's good. I like that. It's good stuff, man. So, well, we got a lot of things to get into today, Keith. Now we don't want to miss the opportunity of really rolling right through these for our guest. And by the way, again, let's mention this, that if you are just now joining us, you can catch us on partscounterguru.com. Make sure you hit the podcast links, which you can hit us over on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Man, we're on just about every platform. TuneIn, Stitcher, we're there. You can also catch some of these video segments over on youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Make sure you follow us on our social media platforms, which is facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. We're on Twitter, and our handle there is @TheCounterShow. We're also on Instagram, and that is instagram.com, the Parts Counter Gurus. So there you go.
Speaking of social media, one thing that we've really not gotten into as a team, as Parts Counter Gurus, is TikTok. Right. And the day may come. Jay and I haven't really had a lot of heartfelt conversations about that. I kind of feel like right now it's more for teenagers, but we'll see.
It is, but there's some things coming with Instagram
and YouTube
doing
they're
doing some dabbling. Yeah, so we'll see.
And social media is kind of a double-edged sword, and I have this conversation, professionally with a lot of people that are like, well, we need to, start a social media platform. And I was talking to some guy last week, and he goes, what do you do? And I kind of went into it, and he goes, so not just YouTube? And I went, no, it's a lot more than that. Like, Jay's pretty busy out there on a lot of those platforms. But social media can sometimes be used in the wrong way. I mean, there's been plenty of, leaks out there on Facebook and spying and privacy violations and misuse and blah 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 and on, and then you get into kind of these challenges that you see on TikTok, and
like the Tide Pod challenge, or there's the ones where the kids are going into schools and ripping school bathrooms apart.
There was a hearing in front of Congress a few weeks back where a former Facebook employee basically came out and said, "Yeah, we know that the algorithms that we're using continue to basically put." I'm paraphrasing here, but things to amp you up, right? A lot of it's negative,
right?
A lot of it's it's just doom scrolling. So this is one that came across our radar about a week ago, and I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you right now, it's probably not real from where I see it, but it's something that potentially you could see on TikTok. It's called the Lug Nut Challenge.
And I think I have my theory behind it. And go ahead, Keith. You can go ahead and let people know what this thing is.
I'll just give them a quick overview, and then I definitely want to hear your theory. So basically, you have a scenario where some cars have come into service shops with loose lug nuts or lug nuts missing, and conclusions are quickly made. Oh, well, this must be some sort of TikTok lug nut challenge, right? So, basically. Suggesting that people are taking lug nuts off or loose as part of a TikTok challenge to drive around, which I feel like if that's true, and I don't think it is, please do something that if you're gonna do something risky, do something that doesn't put other people's lives at risk, just your own.
Yeah, go shove a banana up a tailpipe, man, or something like that.
Or the bridge balance beam challenge or whatever, right? But not something where a wheel flies off your car in the interstate and I'm in my, 27,000-pound RV that can't stop in 5 feet at 50 miles an hour when your car gets sideways in front of me.
Well, the fact is this. Is that, and you said it, we're not so certain that this is a real challenge. However, my theory on this is that it could be an attempt for it
Somebody's
to become one. Somebody trying to get this to trend. But, TikTok and a lot of other of these social media platforms have put in algorithms in place to kind of monitor specific words. So like hashtag this, hashtag that. If they see those, then they'll quickly shut that down, and they can reduce that the number of people that actually see that thing. So at least we have that right now. But this is an extremely malicious and dangerous little game here, and people don't need to not take this seriously, even though we don't think it's actually a challenge going on. There have been some recent incidents that might just be more coincidental because they're not real sure if they can prove that happened because people were working on the car.
Where she was like, I had a family member work on it recently. I read that one. You probably did too. And I went, okay, yeah, that's.
Well, let me just say this too, and that's right. And those are oversights sometimes where people just got sidetracked and they forgot to super tighten them or torque them down to where they needed to be. Back in my day of working in a garage, pulling tires off and putting them back on, you had your steps in place that made sure that you torque those things down properly, and the torque sticks on our gear, our air ratchets and stuff, and those things are for the average everyday person to have an incident happen after you've been into a shop is so extremely rare, but it does happen, and I have witnessed it to where a car almost rolled over because of it after leaving a shop where someone just simply forgot to tighten the lug nuts. And it's no fun.
Don't do it on purpose. It is no joke.
No. This is a dangerous situation, and I think that Keith and I kind of wanted to bring this up because, again, of the other TikTok challenges and challenges out there that have been successful, that are malicious, that's not good. The Tide Pods, again, that was one that's, holy cow, man, what are you thinking? Eating Tide Pods. Holy cow, what's up with that? Anyway, this is a challenge that you need to keep your eyes open just in case. I would not let it go We're just kind of giving you a little heads up on what's kind of floating around on social media a little bit. Whether it's true or not, we can't confirm that, nor can the source, and they say that. So, you got anything else to add to that? I mean, I don't know what else to say other than it's idiotic. It's stupid. Just don't do it. You're putting somebody else's lives at risk, and next thing you know, you could be in prison for involuntary.
Here's what let's leave it up to the fans, right? Like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Yeah,
drop us a comment. Yeah, absolutely, do that.
Love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely, we always love to hear from you guys. Gosh, man, this is just so fun doing this. When you're not doing this as much as you had been, and then you get back into the groove, man, it's like, wow, man, it's like going fishing. Just like throwing that line in, man. It's a lot of fun. So Keith and I love podcasting. We're so glad that you guys are listening to us and hopefully are subscribed to at every level you can subscribe. So we've got a lot more stuff to talk about here, namely Tesla. Tesla hasn't been in the news like a ton for new stuff lately, other than talk of the Cybertruck.
I would say Musk has been more in the news than Tesla.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, especially with the big move to Texas and threatening to leave California, and which, by the way, based on his recent publicity stunt that he pulled the other day, he's committed to staying there. I think that they're going to be doing some next level battery size or something like that.
First of all, let me just take a step back and say, wow, I think we're actually on the same podcast going to do a Rivian segment and a Tesla segment. And we're not even an EV show. But hey, if you don't know what we're talking about and you're watching this on YouTube, we do have a podcast. Head over to our website at partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast tab near the top left area, I think, as I visualize this.
That's it.
And all the all your favorite podcast platforms are there. Just pick the one you like the most, and it'll have a link to our show. So, Musk tends to say a lot of things. Sometimes I feel like it's almost like what you were talking about with Bill Shatner, where
right.
he kind of some of this is entertainment, right? Like, he just sort of wants to see. He's speculating in real time. He made a comment about that the the Securities Exchange Commission got into him about over stock and public shares, and
right.
And some of this is like I think we'll probably make batteries here. So but he did say, he said they're committed to making the Cybertruck at the Giga Texas facility, right?
Right, which is fitting. It's fitting. Yeah. It's Texas, man.
Yeah, big truck, Texas.
Don't mess with Texas.
And so,
don't mess with Texas.
Kind of the concern.
Don't mess with Tesla now.
That there's your next bumper sticker, right? Your Texas window.
No, I want a belt buckle that says. I want a belt buckle with a big. Yeah, don't mess with Tesla. Yeah. With a big star and T in the middle.
It could.
But the T is going to be shaped like the Tesla emblem.
Yeah, there you go. So, what? I think the big concern here is why we haven't heard much progress lately. Now, he's saying it's mostly supply chain issues, right?
It is. I think so. And then he's got the move to Texas. He's had a lot of things going on around him to kind of, pull into order, if you will, and make some things come to fruition. Because he's working on, like we said, they want to bring the larger format battery cells, which is going from the it's going to the 4680. 4680 cells, which is double the size of the current
Jay and
ones.
I have told you that we do not think this current generation of EV platforms, regardless of the manufacturer, is kind of where it's at. This is a transition stage.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out the next step, because this battery technology that we currently have in place has a lot of limitations. It's the volatility is a factor. Just these lithium cells, man, they're just not stable enough for a long-term solution. So it makes sense here that some of this is, we're trying to basically improve our power technology before we roll this truck out, and they probably are on the cusp of being able to do that soon, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. But, you were asking, why he might be, Elon might be looking, while we haven't heard much chatter on the Cybertruck. We've got this whole commercial vehicle thing that he's working on too, which is going to require these larger batteries to make these things work. And that's why I think he was trying to commit that move to Texas, focus on the truck there and a couple of other things there. And so he is saying on this that they want to build the 4680 format cells beginning in 2023, I think he said. Other companies are investing as well. But here was an interesting thing. I think it said LG Chem was reportedly looking to build the same style batteries, possibly at a U.S. factory. But Panasonic, who is actually the current supplier of those batteries to Tesla, is not really on board with it. Their CEO Yasuaki Takamoto said bigger cells would be harder to produce and more prone to overheating. And having said that, God knows Tesla does not need any more issues with batteries catching on fire, man, or overheating. And so that still remains to be seen. Now, this is not the very reason we're talking about Tesla today. I like the truck. I think the truck is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's no question when that truck rolled out, it was like, what? And then we saw the quad in the back and the ATV, and we all went, wait,
right.
What?
Now, here's what's
right.
Now, here's what's interesting. Here's what's very interesting to me is we just recently we had a podcast and we put a video out on Kit, Knight Rider, possibly coming back next year in a new series. And we were asking everybody, what do you think it would be? Would it be an EV? I was actually surprised to some degree at how many people loved that Trans Am.
By and large,
and how
the
it
comments
was
that we received were heavily trended toward don't mess with changing it. It needs to be a GM
don't
product.
Mess with Kit.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. And Michael needs to be Michael. We want him in the series. So I think that's truth. That is an audience. So that's like Star Trek versus Star Trek Next Generation and so on and so forth. I think it's the same thing. It might work for this crowd, but the old faithful, it's not going to happen. But anyway, as part of that segment, I said the Cybertruck might be a cool kit, right? Because it was equipped with the quad, ways to get out and get around without, and then with the quad, you could bring the truck back to you because it has autopilot and stuff. And, you could actually go out on a venture in this quad and go away and the truck could go hide itself. And then, you could kind of come back and boom, you're back in the back end. Anyway, that's my fantasy of the Cybertruck. But Elon says he's committed to making that quad along with that Cybertruck, which I thought was neat.
This is going to go right along the lines of what we were saying. Sometimes he's you like to call it live polling in the automotive industry. His pontifications that happen in real time here, where he's kind of claiming, hey, this thing's not going to roll because it'll have a low center of gravity because of the battery. When he says roll, he means
right.
I'm an avid woods off-road rider. I tend to ride two-wheel stuff, but I've done some sport quads and whatnot. And those things are heavy. And when they roll over on you, it's usually a serious injury because of the weight of the vehicle itself.
Or just terrible design, like the three-wheeler they had out. That was just bad design. That was somebody just not using their brains, man. Which unfortunately hurt a lot of people.
Kids in the and I say neighborhood, grew up in the country that died on those things. So,
that's what I'm saying. I know.
So, but I don't think you can promise this. First of all, a lot of the quads, especially the racing quads that are out now, they already have a low CG. With that engine placement and how they position it.
Yeah.
I know these batteries are going to be heavy. I don't know that they're going to be heavier than one of those engines would be, especially with a fuel tank in it.
Yeah.
So kind of coming out here and declaring that it won't roll. This is kind of one of those bulletproof glass situations that may end up making you look bad, And he's a brilliant guy. I just think he's thinking out loud.
Yeah.
You can imagine the engineering crew behind him going, "Oh crap! Now we got to figure this out, right?"
Come on, dude. Don't say that. Right. I mean, that's kind of like. Oh, never mind. Anyway, it's like just injecting cleaner into the. Anyway, yeah, I think this is. It's cool, but you're right. Him to come out and boldly say that we're going to build it where it won't roll. That's just I don't see how you can do that. You'd have to make that thing so wide. It would have to have such a wide stance and such a low center of gravity. It just ain't going to happen, man. You're going to roll it, but Elon, don't focus on building an ATV that you don't want to roll. Let's just leave that up to the other people, man. Make the Cybertruck and a quad that goes with it that kind of resembles the design elements of every other quad out there. Just make it useful.
Here's a question for our viewers: if you had the option to get a Cybertruck, and they maybe had to delay the release of that four-wheeler, that quad, which I think is probably going to happen anyway. They're going to have to focus on getting the truck out, right? And maybe they did a voucher, or they did something kind of like what Tesla did with their self-driving, where they built the features in, but it is to be released at a later date. They can build the charging capability into the truck now to charge that quad. Maybe if you had. So here's my question: if you had the option to get the Cybertruck to sooner, let's say up to a year sooner, or you wait until the quad comes out. And then that means you have to wait for the Cybertruck as well, and they both come out together again, maybe a year later. Than if you could just get the the truck on its own. Which would you prefer?
Yeah, so you guys, you can leave comments on that, but I will tell you my preference on that. I want the truck. I can go buy an ATV somewhere. I don't have to have the quad as part of the package. I'm more interested in this vehicle. In itself, that's just that's like adding a bead locker rims on it or something. To me, it's just an accessory to what you already have. So I want the truck, and then I want my voucher to come get my quad whenever you finish designing the thing. So.
This could almost be an Apple style move where they just partner with another company to build the quad. Let them build the quad.
Why not?
You can't tell me that Yamaha, Honda...
What the quad, man? What the quad? What are you thinking?
Suzuki, Kawasaki have not been playing around with electric versions of their products already?
Right. There's... Yeah, trust me. I mean, you might talk to Harley. Harley's got a nice electric bike there called... What is it called? Wired? Bite My Wired or something?
Livewire. Bite My Wire.
Livewire.
Now we're turning into a Doors. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, speaking of, wow. Elon, just make the damn truck, okay? Just there we go. But speaking of subscriptions, and Apple.
Here we go. All right, hang on, I gotta refuel for this one.
Yeah. You gonna take a deep breath for this?
Yeah, so go ahead, Jay.
Oh, boy.
Open the can.
Okay. So, Rivian, we love you, man. RJ, we like your product. We're happy for you, man. I tell you what, we've seen this before, and the headline is this: Rivian is looking to gain potentially another 15,500 in subscriptions from all the vehicles that it sells over the lifetime of that vehicle, say about 10 years. That sounds very familiar to me, Keith. Familiar to you?
Yeah, so okay. Why are we talking about this, right? So
yeah.
Again, back to what we mentioned at the opening of the program. If you're watching this, it's on the podcast side, and you can find that on our website, partscounterguru.com. Click on the podcast tab. But this all ties back to Rivian's IPO. And so the information that when you file, they have to. You're basically going to become publicly owned. You have to tell your potential owners what your plan is, right? So they're saying part of the plan is we expect to generate, just like you said, over that 10-year life, an extra $15,500 in income. I don't blame RJ for trying to do this, okay? Like, they've already come out and said, it's expensive to make these trucks. The money's got to come from somewhere.
Right.
You can't blame the guy for trying. He's trying to turn a profit, right? But this paywall nonsense and the monthly reoccurring revenue model, it's like Chuck Berry mailbox money. It's brilliant for the companies because it's returning income and they don't have to make a new product every time they want to make a buck.
They're printing money. They're printing money is exactly what they're doing.
These MRC monthly recurring charges, MRCs, that is the enemy of any budget. And I feel like, Jay, because the economy has been so good for the past decade, we've sort of lost sight of that. I mean, the whole cord cutting thing started because people were taking a look at all those monthly charges and going, hey, Comcast, I ain't watching half the crap you're charging me for. I'm just going to go do Netflix. Well, now we're right back to, people spending hundreds of dollars a month on, HBO Max and Apple TV Plus and Hulu Plus and Netflix and, Paramount, whatever. And I mean, it's like, well, this is stupid. I'm just going to go back and pay for cable. And so Apple's doing this, right? And they've got the iCloud plans and the iTunes, Apple Music plans and the and it's like, where can we find our next monetization avenue, right? And it's gotten to the point where it's just nothing but monthly recurring charges. Where's the innovation?
Right. Exactly. And not only that, though, Keith, is if I'm an investor, if they're going public, right? If I'm an investor and I see this, that they're actually banking on something that does not exist yet, level 3, they're building for the future.
Yeah.
Right here, I get this, but if I'm an investor, I mean, we're barely getting to level 2 now.
You're making several really good points here. So number one is, how many of these people that buy this truck, the R1T or their R1S or whatever, are actually then going to pony up and go beyond that paywall of $10,000 to get that unlock for the self-driving, and then to your point, if and when it's even available.
Right,
50% of the owners.
So as a
25.
Right. So as a consumer, right, I'm a person I'm probably not going to go there. If I bought that R1T, I would not. I have no desire to own an autonomous vehicle.
How much trust can you put in their projections of how many people are going to do this, right?
That's the point that I'm trying to make. If they're going public, and you're an investor, if you own shares. And you're going to buy shares, and this is what they're banking on, I'm a little bothered by that, because that is not a sure dollar figure of $10,000. That's a ton of money.
I still think it's a good buy to get in early on these guys, and I've said on the last podcast, I think we'll probably buy some shares. But there's another aspect to this, Jay, that you're shining a light on, which it's just become a sore spot for me lately, and this is going to turn into story time with old man Keith. But I feel like these companies, and look, people, I'm Apple certified. I carry a certification hanging on my wall that I've gone through their program. I've learned their code. I know what I'm talking about to an extent. I feel like it's good product in many ways, but we have ceased to put our focus on consumer satisfaction and quality of product, and the customers have become the shareholders. You are a commodity as a buyer of the product. You are a byproduct of that company's intent to keep their shareholders happy. That's all they care about.
Right.
How much can we beat the earnings this quarter? Right. Well, how do we beat the earnings? Well, let's release something they have to pay monthly for. That'll keep everybody happy.
Right.
And it's the same sort of thing. And the danger in that is that when you lose focus on the people that are actually handing you money to in exchange for the product that you made for them, if that ceases to become your customer, you don't care about focusing on the quality of it. It's hard to drive in both lanes at the same time. Right?
Right. Brand loyalty, in my opinion, can get that. The car manufacturing and sale, and the way that is done now is so differently than the way we used to do it. Brand loyalty was so huge.
My son has become a huge brand loyalty fan of Apple. Anything they make, he's watching the commercials and he's telling me how great it is. Now they make good stuff. We use some of their stuff, but not everything they roll out is awesome. And I think it's gotten to the point right now where if you're not objective enough to look at, I think this is partially why Tesla took off, right? Is because they created something that bucked the system, and now Rivian that we're talking about here is doing the same thing. I mean, for you guys to just continually go back and buy an iPhone every year because it's Apple, I mean, in a way you're missing out. Can your iPhone do this? Ooh, I just blew your mind there, didn't I?
You did. That's new. You didn't tell me you had that.
Look at that.
Ooh, did we do a video on the flip phone?
Fact, baby.
The Apple flip phone? But that's not the Apple flip phone, though.
This is not an iPhone.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Apple they talked about it.
That is foldable glass, everybody, right there. Look at that. Boom.
Samsung?
Yep.
Is that a Samsung? Yeah.
Flip 3.
Yeah, why not? I can't wait to see that in person.
It's so far.
Mess around with
it.
But good. Here's the thing. Used to, there was so much excitement around going and buying a new vehicle, right? You went down, you talked to the sales guy, you had him talk to his manager. Let me go talk to him. You do this back. It's the art of the deal, man. And you get to drive home. You signed the paper or you wrote a check for that vehicle, and when you put it in your driveway, you never had to talk to anybody else about your vehicle anymore, except for when you took it to the dealership for service maybe, or a warranty issue or something like that. But now I feel with these types of built-in services, you're never going to really own the vehicle. Right. It's never yours. You're always sucked into that black hole.
Just keep handing us money.
Subscription.
Well, there's cell phone companies that literally do that. They're like new phone every couple of years, right? So let me before we wrap this, because look, there's good and there's bad in this, as we've already said. I feel like on the upside, what Rivian is trying to do here is going to help position them, to do well in the stock market. Man, I don't know. Here's what I'm not saying that we've all been dancing around for months now. We're having supply chain issues like crazy, right? Mm-hmm. What happens if this teetering situation in the auto industry goes off a cliff? Because as we've said, many times before, as the auto industry goes historically, so does the economy. Gas prices are going through the roof. What happens, because that's a supply chain issue right now, apparently. What happens if we have an economic downturn in a situation like this where companies are counting on that extra revenue every month?
Right. I know it's
that's not
bit
good,
of a
man.
problem. Bit of a problem. No, it's setting up to be a big problem. If it keeps going this way, Keith, and I can't own my own vehicle anymore, I'm just gonna catch a ride on a robo-taxi because that's where we're going. That's exactly where we're going.
That will just kill my soul. I'll just hate it.
Oh, me too. I think it'll kill a lot of souls. Kill a lot of souls.
To have that R1T in donut mode in the parking lot of an abandoned Kmart somewhere and just be able to just, go crazy, right?
I know. Anyway, but so just buyers beware. We still love Rivian. We love the product. We think it's going to be, it's innovative for the industry, being the first all-electric full-size pickup truck.
We're fans of innovation.
We're fans of it, but there are certain aspects of this that when they're wanting to check out the lining of your wallet, man, that's bothersome to me. Let me get in and buy it and get out. I don't want a lifetime membership with you. I don't want to become part of your family. So,
all right, we done?
There you go. We're done with that.
Beam up.
But so speaking of, that's a good one, man. Beaming up. I love the Shaddy B stuff today, man. I love it. Wow. Just talked about electric vehicles, the changing environment of the world as we know it in the automotive industry, cars, economy, all those sorts of things, all that ties into this particular story. And all I can say is you really, really need to understand the demographic before you really jump on ship here with this. So just to kind of give you an idea, and I'll say this: it happened before, but hey, I lost my.
I got it. I got it right here.
Yeah. Anyway, it's in the Bay Area. Our lovely friends over in Cali.
Beautiful area. Sometimes trying to push the envelope a little too far too soon, maybe.
Right. I think so. And so they've got this California program. It's a grant program, and they're offering, I think, anywhere between $5,500 and $9,500 to trade your gas car for an electric vehicle. It's cash for internal combustion clunker deal in lower income brackets. Now, I think now, did you read the fine print on all this?
Some
Keith?
Of it.
Okay. So here's what I know.
Honestly, was trying not to have an aneurysm while.
Well, you have to qualify for the grant money,
right?
And you have to be in a specific income bracket, and it's single income household or double income household that can't exceed, say, $70,000. Well, let me ask you a question: if you own a house, you're probably in a different bracket. If you're not. And you won't qualify for it. But someone here, people that live in apartments, man, that don't have a house and a garage, how are they going to buy the EV? I mean, they can't afford the EV. I mean, it's just kind of weird.
Or it's their only car, and then who drive? It's So I'm not even down that road with it. I'm down this whole. Okay, we saw this. You and I witnessed this in the automotive industry in the past in the Cash for Clunkers program, and it was designed to boost the economy, right? During an economic downturn. They were trying to promote sales of new automobiles. Yes?
Right.
The problem that we ran into is we had people trading in... All right, so this is a personal issue of mine. I'm fully able to admit that I have a problem here, okay? I'm about to open up live in front of all of our fans, okay, and come clean. I have a real problem with throwing things away that aren't broken. I do. I have such a problem with that. My wife and I will, it's like, we don't use this anymore. What do we want to do with it? And I'll go get rid of it, and she'll head towards the trash can. I'll be like, whoa, hold on. Time out.
Right.
Give it away, right? Like, don't throw it in a landfill if it works, right? That TV is fine. And I understand you want the greatest new 8,000K, whatever. Our 4K one's still good, and the 3D glasses still work. Can we give it to somebody?
Right. Or at least give you the opportunity to repair it yourself. Which that's another problem that we have, is that right to repair in our industry.
Push that heavily.
And modify your vehicle. Right to repair and modify your vehicle. But we also saw it on the tech side, where you had tech manufacturers that was it Apple that wouldn't allow you to go take your phone in and have it worked on?
So Apple has. I feel like we're beating up on Apple on this podcast, and maybe we are a little bit.
Well, they started all this
when
stuff.
They started all this stuff. Memory, fusing it directly to the motherboards of their laptops so that you couldn't upgrade it, and it was clearly a planned obsolescence move. And they were like, "Oh no, but it works so much better if we make it this way from the beginning." And it's like, well, how? There's no data to prove that, but. So it's planned obsolescence, and to some extent that's what's going on here. I think the problem that I have with this is you're prematurely disposing of perfectly good automobiles, even if there's a problem with the car itself. Like, let's say that the rear axle is busted. Well, if the engine's fine, it can still be used in another vehicle, right?
You can salvage the engine.
You can make the argument that this is taking polluting engines off the market, right? That you're getting rid of internal combustion engines that pollute. And that may be true, but I don't think it's a fair trade, because where are those engines ending up? They're ending up in a landfill somewhere before their time.
Exactly, and I think that the age limit was 2005 and older vehicles that they want you to bring in, because obviously there was another level of emission standards that came out in 2006 and 7 and later, even on the industrial and heavy duty side, diesel engine side. But the problem you have with programs like this, you got to realize, man, that when you're taking perfectly running vehicles, or like you just said, say the engine blew a head gasket and you didn't have the money to repair it, and this looked like a sure deal to get into an EV, I'm going to get incentive money and grant money and all that kind of stuff. Great. At the end of the day, you're still going to be paying a lot of money. And then I bet you they're going to render these vehicles like they did the Cash for Clunkers way back in 2008, I think it was, or 7. And when that happened, they basically took perfectly good engine blocks, cores, cylinder head cores that were rebuildable, and they were pouring stuff down these engines so that you couldn't.
Yeah, it's like a
rebuild
stolen cell phone. It's like once you report that phone stolen, it gets blacklisted on every network. You can't reactivate it, even if it's a perfectly working product, right? And
absolutely.
Yeah, so now we're just creating more trash, right? I mean,
right. Well, not only that, we're taking jobs away from machine shops, engine rebuilders that and repair centers that could
the original green
vehicle,
movement, right? Don't throw it away.
The original
fix it.
green movement, right? And resell that car to somebody who can barely afford the $5,500 incentive that you're getting. Right? Exactly. So there's, that's what I said. The demographic and where they're going with this is, I don't think it's very well thought out. It is California. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I just, man, have they solved their electrical grid problem there yet? So we're going to put more of a demand on the grid in a state that's known to be having rolling blackouts, and there's just so many things about this that I just don't, far be it from me to offer an opinion, but
right. Well, this is called the Clean Cars for All, and they're saying that it can be used with another program, and it's only 76 zip codes. It's the Bay Area. It's not everywhere in the country. It's only in California. But this buyback program, the other buyback program, gives local residents $1,200 if they scrap their 1997 or older vehicle, and that is federal incentive for new EVs. Interesting. Wow. I don't know, man. It's just I think we're jumping the gun on this thing.
Yeah, I do. I feel like we didn't learn a damn thing from the last time we tried this. But, at least if there is a silver lining here, it's one city doing this. And if they recognize the errors of their ways soon enough, it may not catch on. Jay and I don't have... we just did 2 segments on EVs right before this one. We don't have anything against EVs. I just...
Right.
I have something against lack of common sense.
Well, at the end of the day, the EVs that they are trying to get people into, I think the cheapest one is probably around 30, 35,000, maybe closer to 40, which is on the probably Chevy Bolt or Volt range or whatever. Chevy Bolt, the little tiny. Well, maybe they can, the Tesla RV, man, or RV, Tesla ATV, the quad, maybe they can afford to buy that. But the people that they are targeting with their threshold to get the incentive, they can't afford to buy the EV, man. It doesn't help them. $5,500, $9,500 towards a $55,000 electric vehicle or a $40,000. That's not a whole lot. You're breaking the bank, guys.
I got it.
Okay.
Here's how we're going to solve this. We're going to come up with a new Ford, GM, anybody. Chrysler, you guys are kind of late to the game. Stellantis, you might want to pick up with this one and run with it. We're going to come out with an affordable. I told Sideshot last week, we don't say cheap when we're referring to luxury EVs. We say affordable. Yeah,
a value engineered
electric vehicle that fits well with this program. Okay? We're going to call it the Honky Chateau. Oh man, I'm playing on so many levels with that one. you get the reference, right?
That's a good one. I do. I get it, man. I love it. That's perfect. So, good way to incentivize
Honky Chateau coming to a dealer near you.
Honky Chateau
soon.
Exactly. Buy one. Get you one. Wow.
Didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see that one coming at all, buddy. But that's a concern. I think that people need to pay attention to those things, Keith. I'm with you on that, man. I think that we have a long way to go in that understanding the auto industry by some of these politicians and how it really works and how it really does stimulate an economy. Gasoline engines create a lot of jobs. I'm not saying the EVs don't, but you can't say that you're going to end the world's problem by having an all-electric vehicle world. That's just not going to happen. So that's my take on that. We have a long way to go. And again, as Keith and I have said, we don't think that electric vehicles, all battery electric vehicles, are going to be the game changer. I think it's going to be something else, and we're just bridging our way there with the batteries that are being built and put in these vehicles. So, wow, man. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the show today, and I did.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
I mean, where else are you gonna invent cars?
Right. If you listen to this show, thank you so much for listening today. We absolutely love
I feel like my work's done for the week, man.
Yeah. I'm going to go take a vacation. But thank you for listening. If you're watching, thank you for watching our videos. If you are listening, you may not be subscribed. You might have just stumbled on it. Please subscribe to it. You can do that at not youtube.com, but partscounterguru.com and hit the podcast links up there. Make sure you subscribe. And you'll also see a YouTube link up there, but you can also go to youtube.com/partscountergurus. Make sure you turn that subscribe button gray for us, please. We have met some major milestones in recent weeks, and we can't thank you all enough. As I always say, those subscriptions are free to you, but they are priceless to us. So thank you very, very much. You got anything else you want to say, man?
I was done at the Honky Chateau.
All right, were you? All right. So I guess we can just I'll just take us out of here.
Yeah,
with
go
this?
ahead, Rocket Man.
Okay. All right. As our good friend Bill Shatner, or as I like to call him, Shatty B, would say, and I think it's going to be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, I'm a rocket man. Rocket man burning out his fuse up here alone.
See you next time, everybody.
All right, so go ahead and bring us in.
What? No, not that's you. That's you. Oh, yeah, I got me to you. Yeah. Okay, got it.